In the course of the debate between atheists and theists of various stripes, it's inevitable that the quote-unquote big questions are brought to the forefront. Apologists love to ask things like, why is there something rather than nothing? Why are we here? Or, what is our purpose? And the ultimate, what is the meaning of life? Apologist Dinesh D'Souza likes to point out that science can't answer these questions, but supposedly religion can. The problem here is that in each case, religion simply makes up an answer and then pretends that it's better than no answer at all, or by the answers we get from philosophy that's informed by science. Now, to be honest, every time I hear this used in a debate, it's just infuriating. Because like almost every other question in religious apologetics, it demonstrably pushes the problem back one step and then claims it solved the issue, hoping we won't look behind the curtain. In this video, I want to look at the biggest question. Why is there something rather than nothing? The immediate response to this is, I don't know, and neither do you. I've even had theists throw this at me as the ultimate response to the question of why they believe in a God. Because I believe there's a reason there's something rather than nothing. To which the only correct response is, no, you demonstrably do not believe that. This is demonstrable because if theists are to be believed, then their God is very much something. And what reason is there for God existing? Ask that question and watch the theist perform a retreat to metaphysics. My favorite example of this is from an apologist, J.P. Moreland, to quote, God does not need a cause, since he is neither an event nor a contingent being. He is a necessary being, and as such does not need a cause. In fact, it is a category fallacy to ask for a cause for God, since that's really asking for a cause of an uncaused being. End quote. So the answer you get is that God is metaphysically necessary. But this isn't anything more than a bald assertion. First, proving anything in metaphysics is always shaky at best. Second, why should we think God is the metaphysically necessary being? Any apologist that claims this needs to present an argument for it. And there's an argument that explicitly tries to do this. It's called the ontological argument for the existence of God. And every single one of those demonstrably does not work. In fact, look for a video from me sometime soon showing how even the latest modal ontological argument is a failure. Now, some theists, realizing that they don't have an argument for this, try to define God as the metaphysically necessary being, which is basically just trying to define God into existence and has no basis in reality. So what's the atheist answer to this big question? Well, one answer is to think that if we're going to have a metaphysically necessary anything, it's likely best defined as some form of material reality. Most probably it's some form of quantum energy in one form or another that has always existed, probably outside of our space-time universe. Now, if we respond with this in an argument, inevitably an apologist will ask, well, where did that come from? To which the only sensible reply is, the same place your God did. This inevitably reveals the fact that this kind of argument ends in at least a stalemate, with the theist asserting the existence of something extra beyond what we already know does exist. This is why any apologist trying to spin up some form of the cosmological argument has to really dress it up with some philosophical shenanigans to try and dodge this issue. All that aside, there's another answer to the question for an atheist, and that is to ask, why think that there should be nothing? Which pretty much comes to almost the same conclusion that we have above. Now, the entire first big question assumes that an absolute nothing, that is, the absence of anything, should be considered the default state just because a thing like that theoretically doesn't need an explanation. But the very fact that we are here, that we're something rather than nothing, indicates one of two things. One, that something can come from nothing, or two, something has always existed. Now, theists like to pretend that something can come from nothing is what the atheists believe. And to be fair, when atheists publish books with misleading titles like A Universe from Nothing, it doesn't really look good on the surface. But if you get into the details of the science and atheistic philosophy, including that book, you'll see that atheists think that something material has always existed. The important point here is that you have to ask yourself, does religion really answer the question, why is there something rather than nothing, any better than science or philosophy does? Well, that's going to wrap up this video. Please be sure to check out the next one where I tackle on the other big questions that apologists love to ask.